Hello, everyone. Wishing you well. I'm continuing with my series on how to address computer and smartphone posture problems. And today's video is all about the hips, the quads, and the hamstrings. Now, in previous videos, I've been talking about this posture that is so common as we spend more and more time online, where we're either sitting at our computer with our butt at the front of the chair and our upper body leaning back against the back of the chair as we work on our computer, or we have essentially the same position when we're standing and we're with our smartphones, with our hips forward, our upper body back, our shoulders rounded forward. And this posture can create unnecessary pain, tension, and wear and tear throughout the whole body. And so in previous videos, I've addressed how to strengthen and realign through the neck, the shoulders, the upper back, the core, the glutes. And so you can check out those videos if you haven't seen them yet. And in today's video, I want to talk about how this posture really can create a weakness and overly long muscles through the hip flexors and the quadriceps, and the muscles in the back of the thigh, the hamstrings, become overly tight and short. And then also through the thigh bone itself, the femur, it's not sitting in the right position in the hip joint. It's stuck forward instead of sitting in the middle of the hip socket where it has the most freedom. And so when the hips are stuck forward, it can create joint issues within the hip through the lower back as well and through the knees. And so I'm going to show you some exercises to strengthen, stretch, rebalance, and realign this whole area using a wall. And you only need a small amount of space, just enough to fit your body. But for the first exercise, we're going to also use something for the knees. If you can have I'm using a yoga block, you could use a rolled up towel or a pillow or a ball at your knees. And if you can do this with me now, we're going to be standing about 1.5 feet away from the wall, roughly the length of your thigh. And then if you can bring yourself back so that you're against the wall with your back. You want to have the back of the pelvis touching the wall, the back of your ribs. Your head and shoulders may or may not be against the wall. Don't worry about that so much. The most important thing is that your chin and your eyes are level to the floor and that it feels comfortable through the neck and the shoulders. And then from here, we're going to bend our knees and come down to sitting into an imaginary chair. And we're going to stay here for about a minute or 6 to 8 slow, full breaths. So just make sure that you're going not so low that it feels challenging on your knee joints, but it just feels like the perfect amount of challenge in the muscles. And so as you're breathing slowly here, I'll just give you some alignment tips. You want to be hugging in towards the whatever you have in your inner thighs, your block or your ball or your towel, gently engaging the inner thighs, keeping your knees and your toes pointing straight ahead. And then press your feet down and slightly forward, which presses your pelvis more back against the wall. And you want to have your pelvis aligned in the neutral position, which is where your hip bones and your pubic bone are level and flat to the wall, so not curled or arched in one extreme or the other. And when your pelvis is in this neutral position, your lower back should have a small space behind it, right behind your belly button. And so this position not only aligns your lower back really well, but it lets your thigh bone sit really perfectly in the hip socket. And you could probably feel as you're sitting here in your imaginary chair and breathing that the muscles in the front of your thigh, your quadriceps, are really working. And that's great because it has been overwhelmingly shown that having strong quadriceps is the most effective way to keep your knees healthy and protected. And so not only is this a great exercise to do to help realign your hips, but it also helps to keep your knees strong and healthy. So let's just take one more breath here. And then press yourself away from the wall, and you can put the block off to the side. And now we're going to focus on stretching the back of your legs, your hamstrings, and we're going to do that by lying down and bringing our legs up the wall. So the best way to get into this is by laying on your side, scooting yourself into the wall with your hips, and then bringing your legs up the wall. Now, you don't have to have your hips right up against the wall, especially if your hamstrings are tight. The most important thing is that you're again in that neutral position where your hip bones and your pubic bone are level and flat to the floor, and you have that slight space behind your lower back. And so just base your distance on that. And then have the legs up straight, and we'll just hold and breathe and enjoy the stretch. You want to pull all 10 toes back towards your face and reach your heels up to the ceiling. So it's like your feet are flat, like you're standing on the ceiling, and you're not rolling your ankles in one way or the other. And then if you can pull your kneecaps up, and that engages your quadriceps even more, which is really great. And all of this facilitates a really good stretch through the muscles in the back of your thighs, your hamstrings. So just staying here and breathing, or if you want to take it further, as you breathe out, you lift one leg away from the wall and inhale as you bring it back on, and exhale as you change, and inhale as you bring it on. So just continue there in any of those variations, just focusing on the thigh bone sinking deep into the hip socket, lengthening the muscles in the back of the thigh, strengthening the muscles in the front of the thigh. And you can stay here for quite some time. This is a really nice position to stretch, to relax and relieve the lower back, relieve some tension. But just for now, I'll get you to take one more breath here. And then if you can bend your knees and roll to the side and come on up out of there. So I hope that feels very interesting and useful. And most importantly, I hope that you do these exercises so that you can take better and better care of yourself. As always, I'm wishing you very well.